Hey folks, how's it going? RedMaster here, and welcome back to another video. Today, of course, a very special video, a very big video, as after all these years, I finally got the special man on the line, the creator of our favorite card game, Vontre. How you doing, my friend? Welcome to the channel.
Hello, I'm doing good. How about you?
I'm doing all right, and there's obviously a lot to talk about. Probably the big thing going on right now is this revamp, right? I feel like it's been a while since we've heard any sort of big information on it, and obviously players are anticipating a lot of what's to come. So I figured, we can discuss a few things here that might pertain to said revamp, if that's all good with you, boss.
Sure. Yeah. Does everyone listening to this, do they even know there is a revamp happening? Because I think we've mentioned it in Discord a few times, but we haven't really done like
A public announcement.
Public announcement.
Yeah, that was actually the first point here I wanted to discuss here. For those unaware, the sequel has been out for some time, but in early access and going through a bit of a shakeup process. And I think the good point to start would be, what was the driving factor behind this revamp taking place? What kind of pushed you guys to say, hey, I think something needs to change up here, and ultimately decide to take that leap and take that change effort, I guess?
Well, I guess the simplest way to explain it is that we weren't really getting the positive response we wanted from the game. I know the review score looks okay, but there's more to it than that. There's more channels through which we receive feedback, both positive and negative. And I think, it just wasn't working out.
Right. I guess the combination of just all your factors coming in proves that it just wasn't working.
Yeah, I think the most startling thing is that we had a very high refund rate on the game, which
Well,
you get a lot
that's
of
not good.
feedback. Yeah, you get a lot of feedback through that channels, and it's important to kind of filter through this stuff, because there could be those refunds could be stuff like chargebacks, or they could be just people trying to do multiplayer. And finding the queue is not large enough, which is kind of like a self-sustaining problem. But ultimately, when we looked into it, really, most people who bought the game were just going into the campaign and then not really being satisfied with what they found. Now, that doesn't mean most people refunded the game. Most people did not refund the game, but our numbers were considerably higher than they should be.
Right, and ultimately, once that starts happening, you guys know something is wrong, so that seems like a fair
Yeah.
idea.
And I think, at that point, we knew something needed to change. And actually, we spent a lot of time after that looking at kind of our core design to see how we could maybe tweak it, modify it, improve content, stuff like that, to to bring things back up. And we found some value there, but ultimately, I think we decided that it's really important long term for the game to be something that Cards and Castles 1 players will love.
Right, and gravitate back to. A lot of people do find the old game very enjoyable. A lot of people still on it, I believe, regularly to this day. Obviously not very high numbers, but enough to probably sustain itself, which has, kept the game afloat for however many years, right? I mean, we've
been stable for years on Cards and Castles 1. It's really quite awesome.
It's a miracle, because most mobile games seem to have a very limited lifespan, right? And that's where Cards and Castles started, from what I can remember. Back, God, I mean, I first ran into it in 2014. Did you guys have earlier comeuppance than 2014 with the game before that?
We launched. I know we launched before Hearthstone. I think the copyright is actually 2013.
Oh. All right, so yeah, almost a full decade here.
The original Cards and Castles actually had big numbers and health bars, um,
Go
which was
back and
something
watch the old Castle cast.
we wanted to try to return to, but ultimately the thing we kind of didn't consider is that the original Cards and Castles was also a purely asynchronous game.
Mm-hmm.
So it had a very different mode of play where you would take all your actions and either like you would undo them, you would be like, oh, I wasn't happy with that, or say like, okay, that's finalized, and then submit them to your opponent asynchronously and wait for them to respond. It was a very different type of game.
Right, and that is absolutely fine. But I think sticking to what we have now, going into the current version here, there's kind of been some talk, at least so far, what I'm hearing, of returning to, I guess, something that's familiar to the player base. What would you kind of describe the potential revamp as a bit further? Is there any details that you can share with the wider audience as to what to expect maybe from this? Board size, stat lines. There's a lot of variables that we got to factor in here, and obviously maybe you can't share all of those with us, but is there anything that maybe familiar players are going to be able to latch on to that's going to incentivize them to give it another shot?
Yeah. So the first thing for those who are familiar with the struggles of Cards and Castles 2 and early access, the first thing we're changing from that game is we are going back to whole numbers, small numbers. So like you cast a card that is a 1/2, or 1 attack and 2 health for 1 gold, for instance. And the other thing is, again, simplifying the turn structure. So there's no more phases. It's just I take a turn, you take a turn. Really old school.
But people like that. I mean, that's
Yeah.
the current model of CnC1, and people have, like you said, latched on to that. So, if it works, it works. And so, very exciting to kind of see those two elements come back. Definitely a bit confusing was the turn system. I definitely think that that's where a lot of people struggled the most, at least from what I saw. I don't know if you felt a similar way to that, maybe.
Yes, it was very difficult for people to learn. The complicated turn system with the phases, it solved a lot of balance issues, but ultimately, I think it was just too intimidating, and it had its own downsides as well.
Yeah, certainly. People kind of not really willing to learn. Another good factor, I would imagine. Something that I definitely saw prominent in the early days of the early access. It was just that there was a lot of information. I think older players definitely wanted to kind of grasp that familiarity, and were expecting that a little bit. So I can see
I
that.
want to give people some credit. I think a lot of people did actually learn the system and just decided they didn't like it.
No, that too. Absolutely. They were players putting in some good time to learn the system. I know, even I think myself in the testing of it, I definitely felt that there was an abundance of information, but it was somewhat, understandable once you kind of put the time in to figure it out. But, like I said, whole numbers are fine as well. But with that, you kind of mentioned that there is going to be these old elements coming back. What about the older model of CnC2? We do have a lot of cool elements in that. Things like the mana, the new faction. Is there anything that's going to be kind of returning from that into this new sort of fusion, if you will, between the two styles?
Yeah, so basically the first thing we discovered when going back to whole numbers was that none of our gameplay ideas worked anymore. All the cards we designed, it's like that was one of the interesting things about the big numbers and kind of the percentages and the way units got weaker during the battle, is that it allowed us to make really huge creatures that were still a lot of fun to play, right?
Right.
That does not happen with the whole numbers. And for reference, like Dremoth is one of the largest creatures in the original C2. I think he had about as much health as the castle does, right? So if we were to translate him to the new numbers, you would have a 20. We have a 20 health castle now, and his stats, Dremoth's stats, would be something like 17, 18. And
Oh.
it's not fun. It's
Oh
I
god.
mean, it's ridiculous, right? But it sounds very silly. And that was fun. It was fun in C2 because of the way the phases allowed you to guard against these movements, and also because as he took damage, he became less attacker, right? Which is just not something we're doing anymore. Like all that kind of nuanced numerical,
So
fuckery.
things like the class bonuses, things like the fatigue system, we're
Yeah,
kind of
that's all gone.
phasing it out per se.
All gone.
Oof.
Everything percent based, it's gone. Right. So basically, all of the game's content has to be redone. Speaking of the class system, um, it's basically gone, but not quite. So the cool thing about the classes is that we realized they gave us a way to very easily consolidate the movement and range attributes of our core cast of characters, basically. So this is basically the same as in C1, where like you had the ranged units, they had the word range printed on them, and they said they have, they can't shoot right when they come out, and they have 3 range and they move 2 spaces, right?
Right.
Well, now we just have this is sniper class, same thing, but now it has a little icon on the board, so you more helpfully remember. Maybe the snipers are very obvious, but like we have
Like a
right now we're
warrior,
going down.
right? We had like warrior and assassin and things like that in the old C2 model. Obviously, I
Yeah,
imagine those are not all translating maybe into it if they're becoming simpler, but things along those lines maybe.
there's only about 5 classes left.
Oh,
There's really high like we want really high value distinctions. Probably the only one really that's purely based on the abilities is the flying. Flying is still there as a class where you cannot hit them with melee attack except for the Colossus. Colossus is still there. They shove movement enemies out of the way, and they have 1 move speed.
oh thank God,
So
Colossus
they're
is still in there, man. They were a unique concept, and I'm glad they kind of found a way to transfer over. So very happy about that. But
right.
please continue.
But in C1 we had like the keyword slow and the keyword fast for movements units that had 2 movement and 4 movement, and then the default had 3 movement. And now we just have 3 different classes. So cavalry move 4 unit or 4 spaces, and they have their little horse icon on the board, so you never forget that they're a cavalry. And they generally they're riding something as well, either like an elephant or a horse or something. Um, and then there's kind of the arbitrary kind of block of things that are either they move 2 or they move 3. And those are different classes. The 2 movement ones, I think we're calling soldiers. They have a little shield icon, and the skirmishers, which they have a little axe icon. The
Okay.
skirmishers are a little faster. The soldiers are a little slower.
And hopefully that
Um,
visual element should again just help identify which is which.
yeah, and you get the little name at the bottom. It just makes everything, very nice and simple. And then having a lot of difference, between the movement speeds of the units, 2 movement and 3 movement. Especially, it adds a lot of texture to the game. It's a lot of fun for the strategy.
Absolutely. I mean, it's just easier at that point I mean, I imagine for you, right, it's easier to kind of just sit down and say this is a warrior, this is a soldier, I guess, in the back end process of all of it. But yeah, no, I mean, I like the classes are still in it.
Yeah, I think that's actually all of the classes. I mean, I might be forgetting one, but yeah, because really we're only doing a new class when there's a very clear distinction of
Right.
that story.
I think you mentioned flying, right? Is flying still
Yeah.
okay.
Yes, I did mention. Yeah.
I kind of
Flying
just
is
zoned
good.
out for a hot second. So I mean, you could have mentioned flying, you could have meant it's late for me, all right? You don't judge me. But yeah,
No,
I
no
mean,
judgment.
I guess going on from this point, it sounds like there are a lot of great elements being reincorporated into the game, with a couple of new ones: the mana, the faction, the distinctions of classes, all that great stuff being thrown
Yeah.
back into the mix.
Mana is staying. Now, I will say that the implementation of mana in the content is significantly different, which is something internally has been a very gradual shift, but like the original C2, it just had a lot of cards that used like a small amount of mana
Mm-hmm.
that made the game kind of difficult because you were always having to track your 2 resources. We always designed mana with the intent that it would allow you to burst out some big plays. Like, turn 7, you can cast a dragon that costs 7 gold and 5 mana, and because we let you spend that mana, that dragon is a more powerful play than it would be in like Cards and Castles 1.
Right.
At that on that same turn, right? And that has always been really cool. So we really like doubled down on that and focused on that, where there's ways to like spend mana generally that are like very discreet and very powerful, rather than having it kind of be spread out all over the game as like kind of a headache to manage.
Right, and with that, I mean, how does that affect the mana ramp within the game? Because I know in the current build, Druids were sort of built as the faction that got you some extra mana to make those plays possible. Are you finding that to be the same case in the current product, or are they a bit more all over the place?
No, we've completely undone that, and we also got rid of the mana burst ability. Again, trying to simplify things to make it a lot cleaner. But in exchange, there's cards in every single faction that let you get more mana.
Like a little +1 here, maybe a +2 there, something like that.
Yeah, it's just a variety of little ways. This Crusader unit might get mana when it takes damage. This unit might get 1 mana when it enters the board. You might get 1 mana when you cast a spell as part of its deal. And just like 2 or 3 cards in every faction probably that do that, and lots of options for players to get as much or as little mana as they want.
Of course. I mean, if you don't need the mana, sometimes you just don't need the mana. Simple as that. All right. Well, I guess we can move on then. I guess I did want to talk about too, I guess. The board size. Obviously, this has always been a very point of contention within the community. Some people obviously like the old board style, but the C2 introduced a new one that kind of changed things up here. Are there any word on how that's being, I guess, revamped in a way? Are you keeping that same C2 board, but maybe changing some aspects of it?
Yes, I feel like you already know that answer.
Listen, man, I'm trying to like progress it, but it's so hard to have like the unbiased view when you're not a tester. I've already seen everything. I can't tell people what's out there.
Well, that's why I'm here. So the for those who have played C2, you may have found that the spawn points were a little too close. That had a lot to do with our phase system, because you could have play a unit really close, but then your opponent could play a unit right away to block you. Right? We don't have that anymore, so we pushed the spawn points back. They are a little closer than Cards and Castles 1, however. You could play a little further up. So the game is a little more aggressive and a little less campy, which is one of the things we really wanted to do for Cards and Castles 2.
You just want to have those units smacking against the board and all that?
Yeah. We don't really want people to be like sitting in the back with their ranged unit and being like, I mean, as like some people really like the campy playstyle. We're not going to completely kill it, but it was probably, a little too prevalent.
Right.
But the 10x4 as the new board size is, however, definitely staying. We've done a lot of experimental stuff with C2. Obviously, a lot of it did not work. The 10x4 board, I think, is a resounding success. I think people really, I think people really see that when you're able to use it with the simplified mechanics that are more like C1. Basically, like the original was it 9x5. By being 5 tall and having the castles in the middle, it kind of created like kind of a choke in the middle where all the units fought. And then you might kind of move units to the sides to like avoid AoE,
Right.
like avoid chain lightning basically. But those like top and bottom rows weren't really strategically important for anything other than having space to spread out. In C2, AoE is not nearly as powerful, but that's because the quarters are a little more cramped, and there's a little more opportunity to get in people's way and block them from reaching key places. So you might know we have a mana system in C2. The mana is actually generated by a tower, which one of the advantages here is it gives your opponent or yourself, basically gives players a secondary objective in addition to just the castle. So you have, your castle on one row, you have your mana tower on another row, you have the enemy's castle on another row, and the enemy's mana tower on another row. Every single row in the game has something on it to defend or attack. So there's really no wasted space in the new board.
Oh, okay. So players can either choose to maybe go after the mana tower if they are playing a bit more of an aggressive play style to cut off that resource to kind of maybe prevent big plays, similar to how I think there was that secondary objective in the previous model, right? How you just have that option, that variation in what you want to target as a player.
Yeah, that's in the previous model. Which model are you talking about?
Just the early access one that's live now. The big.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's exactly the same positioning.
Right. So being able
I feel
to
like that positioning was really cool.
I mean, and it has worked so far. I mean, from what I can say, I guess now that I can share a little bit more of my experience, I definitely think that board style works. Those who maybe aren't a fan of it, I do recommend just kind of getting in the action, seeing for yourself. A lot more combat actions and interactions happening. I do think really add to the excitement of the game. So I can definitely agree that it's certainly a successful element that should return, and it seems like it will be. So that's fantastic.
Yeah, one of the things I want to keep in mind for this interview and really get out there is, not just like how are we changing C2, because frankly, like most people haven't played C2. we can tell that from the numbers. But it's like if you're a C1 player, what are you getting out of the new game after we relaunch it? After we relaunch it, don't buy it now. It's not a good idea. But after we relaunch it, what is new and cool that's going to be there? It's going to be completely redone card pool. A lot of your favorite characters will return, but they have completely new abilities. We have a new set of spells. We have a new faction, which we haven't even talked about, is the Necromancers.
Yeah.
With a lot of new cards and new art in there. We have the mana system. We have the improved board. Just a lot of cool stuff.
So I guess on that, do you want to share a bit more about what the Necromancers are doing relative to the relaunch here?
So Necromancers have kind of a core mechanic where they can create tombstones on the board from a dead unit. So when their faction leader Norabon, for example, whenever he kills an enemy, it becomes a tombstone, right? Mm-hmm. And you can click on that tombstone and see, oh, that tombstone has Dramoth, the dragon, inside it, right?
Right.
And then the Necromancers, and additionally a couple of other factions, they have cards that interact with the tombstones. Now, Norbon's the faction leader, so he's the Necromancer, he's the Lich, he's the Necromancer. He's very straightforward. He not only makes the tombs, he raises zombies from the tombs because he's the legendary, the big thing. But there's other stuff you can do with the tombs, like pirates can steal what's in the tomb, go rob some graves. Crusaders can resurrect things from the tomb. And then the Necromancers themselves have a couple ways they can destroy tombstones to draw cards, or they can take the contents of a tomb and put them in their hand, exhume it. Yeah.
A whole lot of stone stuff, pretty much.
Yeah, we wanted to get that kind of gameplay from Magic the Gathering, where you have your graveyard cards on the side.
Mm-hmm.
I always thought that was really cool when you were playing a black deck and you could like resurrect units from your opponent's graveyard or from your graveyard and do all sorts of crazy stuff with your graveyard. And we didn't want to have like a big UI that's like, hey, your graveyard, because UIs are kind of lame. We wanted to put it on the board where everything lives. So you have tombstones on the board.
Yeah, sad. I love it.
Oh, we
no,
by
knowing
the
how they
way,
play out, they are very exciting. They do have some explosive potential.
yes, we've also taken precautions to make sure they don't get into way too much.
Right.
You can actually, your units can walk over the tombstones if they need to. They only have 1 health, right? So there's a lot of counterplay there. They're not going to like clog up the board with tombs. You can clear them out pretty quick as an opposing player. So there's not too much clutter, and the necromancers or whoever you might be playing have pressure to utilize their tombs quickly and actually get value out of them.
Right. Awesome stuff there. I really do love the way the necromancers are playing out right now. I'm trying to think, because they also have some other aspects too, like lifesteal. I think that's been revamped a little bit, right? The way that they work now.
Lifesteal is more like most card games where lifesteal actually just goes straight to your castle instead of to that unit. So it makes the units, you don't no longer have like unremovable units.
Mm-hmm.
Some people like that, some people don't, but whatever. We don't have that anymore. What we have is lifesteal, and when your unit does damage to an enemy, if it does 5 damage, great. Your castle gets +5 health. It's actually not a heal. It's just straight increase your castle's health. So it's very effective against aggro as well if you like the defensive playstyle.
Right.
That's just one of many mechanics revamps and new mechanics we have in the game.
Right, and obviously we're not going to go over all of them here
Right.
because that would take certainly a lot of time and would spoil the fun out of everything for sure. But I guess maybe while we're talking about factions, is there sort of anything that's going to be majorly different with the rest of the remaining ones? Obviously, there's a lot of things that each of them do individually across both games. Or is anything there massively being changed up, or are they kind of like the same general idea, just with maybe some new or tweaked up things to fit what's being made now?
I think a lot of them have the same or similar theming. There's definitely been some shuffling, like the concept of relentless. I think we might have called it resolve in Cards and Castles 1. But anyway, whereas a unit survives with 1 health, that's actually a Viking kind of bloodlust now. It's like a Viking ability, and they get a double attack when they're in relentless mode. So they almost die. They have 1 health and they have double attack. The druids, of course, are woefully underdeveloped in Cards and Castles 1. That is not the case in Cards and Castles 2. We have tons of druid cards. We even got some new stuff. We got a big tree guy, the king of the trees. He's very large.
Elsevar, gotta represent my boy.
Yes, we have lots of beasts and woodland critters. We have a squirrel, and it throws acorns at enemies. I was very happy with the artists when they gave me that.
They did a phenomenal job with this battle squirrel. That was, I think, probably a fan favorite. But it sounds like that's good. A lot of things, I guess, maintaining a similar identity, which I think will also help that, the C1 audience kind of grasp out and connect to those elements here.
Vikings still have chain lightning, but it's a little bit different. Pirates still are all about gold and ramp, but they're a little bit different. Oh, they also gain the ability to steal cards.
That should be pretty interesting. I want to see how far
from people's
can
decks,
go with that. Yeah,
not from their hand.
No, yeah. I mean, obviously, you can't. Stealing from your own deck would just be drawing cards at that point, right? Like,
oh no. I wanted to make clear where the stealing is not coming from other. You're not stealing cards from other people's hand. You're just stealing them from their deck. It's it's whatever. You might be able to mill people this way. We're looking at that.
I want to see how far people can push that. I know we've certainly done some things with steel, but it is still a pretty prominent thing just to be able to take a pretty big card from your opponent's deck. Very scary, but yeah, we'll see how far more people can push that besides just us. There's certainly room to explore there. But I guess kind of moving on now into, I guess, the wider game in general. Obviously, the multiplayer aspect is still going to be there. Are lobby systems being re-implemented here? Is that something that you guys were happy with before? Is that something that you want to kind of continue forward with?
Oh yeah, I love the lobbies. I think they're awesome. Um, that's I don't have too much more to say on that. I think other than a lot of Cards and Castles 1 players, again, have probably not seen the lobbies.
Mm-hmm.
So uh, instead of just challenging your friend to a match, which I know is like very quick and easy, like, and that's fine. But in C2, you take one extra step, you create a lobby, but this extra step is really, really awesome for social play because in a lobby, you have full access to chat with all the members of the lobby. The lobby can have like 100 people in it at once, and all of them can be playing and spectating different games.
So something that maybe
and
can
chatting with each other from within their games.
So something to kind of like, because I know I wanted to use that for more of like a grander tournament environment here. That's something that maybe you can use, being able to spectate things, see what's going on. Great for tournament play, perhaps. But also, I mean, the social play, like you mentioned before, is really important. Being able to kind of connect players further to more of them who enjoy the same game and kind of share experiences, share games, all that fun stuff. But yeah, I know people were a little hesitant on the lobbies because obviously some people just like you said, the quick maybe matchmaking of a rank system or something like that.
Oh well, quick match is coming back.
Okay.
Yeah, it has to. The only reason it's not on right now is because nobody's played the game mostly. So if you, I mean, I won't sugarcoat it. We're laying low for a while. We're gonna relaunch and and get the gears going again. But for the moment, like if you tried to have a quick match, well, what was happening? Someone would click quick match, and then half an hour later, they'd say this game's dead. No one plays it, and it's like, well, you're right. But in the meantime, why don't you just join our Discord channel instead? Ask people if they have time to play because your quick match is not going to work very well, right?
Right.
But that's fine. When we get to going with a better game that hopefully more people will play, and especially when we get to mobile builds, then lots of people will play. It will be very, very easy to find a quick match. So we're 100% on board with quick match and ranking. The lobbies are just supposed to be extra.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we need the player base to support them, but that won't be hard when we really have fully launched the game.
Right. So I guess actually speaking on that real quick, there's been a lot of, I guess, ask on a mobile launch. It is, I believe, still happening, most likely still happening. Is this something that's going to be coming out with the relaunch of the game? Is that like when you guys will officially sort of push that go button when mobile is, I guess, ready to emerge?
No, we're going to relaunch long before mobile. It's just a matter of time.
Oh.
Yeah. So we don't want the current version of Cards and Castles 2 to be like sitting out there too long.
Right.
And this might even be news to you, but we're not just immediately going like, okay, new game, it's like C1. Now we're on mobile, now we're free to play, now we have card packs, etc. We're actually going to keep selling the game for a price on Steam for quite a while. And again, partly that is partly just because of time, and partly because for a lot of players who are very invested, they actually think like selling the game for fixed price is a better experience. Now, obviously, that does not apply to everyone. A lot of people want to play the game for free. I understand. We're going to evaluate that. But in order to, if we were even going to do that, we would first have to do a lot of development work first. That would take time anyway. Right. Because we don't have any monetization in the game, so we have to do all that. We have to build the UIs. We have to set up all the shops. We have to create all the content.
That's a message. It's pretty much a message to everyone else watching at home. So, support your local game. Buy the game on Steam. That's essentially what you're trying to boil down to, it sounds like.
Yeah, buy the game on Steam. we will be on mobile eventually. We might be free to play eventually, but it's going to be a while. Regardless, even if we look at all the numbers and we say, "Oh my God, we should get free to play on mobile as quickly as we can," it's still going to take a while because it's just a lot of work to do.
Especially with mobile and having to ping to all the devices that are out there now. Like, you know, you got your people with the old iPhones, the new tablets. There's
Well,
a lot
I
of
don't. We're an indie studio. We're like a one man shop. We're not going to when it comes to programming. So we're not. It's all just Unity engine, right? We're just going to export it. It'll be
oh,
fine,
that works
unless
too.
unless your phone is from 2010, maybe. I don't know.
Some people,
It's
man.
you know
Some people
what?
rocking the Blackberry. Some people rocking the Motorola's. You can't hate on people for that.
No, I can't. But I'm not going to make apps for them.
Right.
Who does that?
Eh,
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But we have limited resources with which to build. So we're iOS and Android.
Right.
That's what you'll be looking at. Right.
Right. And that is eventually coming. We're just still a ways away. So that's good to know
Yes.
because I know that there are
That's
some mobile
definitely.
exclusives. Right. Right. Absolutely.
Yeah, most of Cards and Castles player base is on mobile. We know that. We want to get our mobile build out. It takes time, and also like being able to go on Steam and get early feedback so that people can come and say, "Hey, this game is a disaster," or whatever they might say, or they can say with the new one that hopefully they can say, "Hey, this game is really awesome."
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they'll say that, maybe they won't. But being able to launch ahead of time on Steam to a smaller player base is definitely helpful for
Absolutely.
us in making sure we are on the right path before we go wide and get everybody on board.
And speaking of going wide here, and this actually is a question that comes from a little thing that I did earlier here. Obviously, we know that in CnC1, well, I guess, you know, I'm not going to sugarcoat this any way that I can here. People are very curious on what your plans are to push this game out once you are ready to do so. Whether it is, you know, the Steam revamp, the mobile launch. Is there anything that you guys are going to be kind of taking to the next step in terms of like showing it off to people, you know, parading it maybe for a bit here just to like say, hey, this exists, you want to give it a try type of thing?
Are you talking about our marketing plan?
Marketing plan, you know, I'm trying to time. Yes, marketing plan, big man. What do we got for it?
Well, the first step was to do this interview. Our marketing plan is really like not that well developed right now. Like we're really focusing on working on the game.
Right.
We do have someone on the team who is going to be dedicated to this. So
Oh.
we are thinking oh yeah, we always did. We did for C1 as well. A lot of people think we don't market C1, but we did, just in a cost-effective way.
And the thing is, man, that to me, it's like we said before at the start of this thing. Like C1 is just an old game. It's been around for so many years. At what point do you just say, "Hey, I think it's had enough marketing for now. Let's just kind of leave it where it is and kind of let it be for now," type of thing?
Yeah, people stopped paying attention after a while. Plus, Hearthstone came out, and that it made the market all weird. Because because after Hearthstone, then a lot of competitors come around, and also a lot of competitors die out. And you get very weird.
It's a weird market.
Um,
Weird market.
yeah, it's hard for indie games to market because, uh, we definitely got a lot of people in our Discord or social channels who would say, "Oh, Cards and Castles is really awesome. If you just did more marketing, more people would play it." And when you're running the business, what you actually do is you do test marketing, and then you see if more people play the game, right?
Right.
Basically, and then how much it costs to do your marketing kind of depends on what the market looks like. So when the card game market is really hot, marketing is really expensive, and then
Mhm.
you don't make your money back. So basically, uh, the ways we were able to market the game were somewhat limited, right? This is more like guerrilla stuff. But in terms of just like trying to throw ads out there, they were never going to make their money back. We determined that really, really quickly. It wasn't even close because the market was very hot and it's very hard to like actually get a bunch more players enough to actually like make back the money that we spent on the marketing. was very difficult.
I can't imagine, by the way, and I'm just gonna throw this out there because I know the weird state of like mobile game ads, right? And like they're just everywhere. They're sporadic. They got like all these different elements going. I can't imagine putting out there a mobile game ad style of a CnC ad out there these days. Like I can't imagine what you would come up with to match what everyone else is doing, because the mobile games
Should
are
we make
weird.
should we like make a little like man in like a puzzle room and be like, we bet you can't solve
We
this.
bet you can't stop, and it's just like
We bet you can't.
moving the
Yeah,
units here. Can he get to the castle? I don't know. I
right.
don't know what to do.
No, I mean, you don't even have Cards and Castle stuff in there at all. That doesn't matter, right? That's not. It's those little ads like with the puzzles. They're not. They have nothing to do with the actual game. You just click
Yeah.
through. You just click through, and it's like, oh, here's a strategy war game.
Oh my god.
With like it's like pseudo realistic, but then the ad is just like the puzzle. At least this is what I've heard. I don't click on the ads.
No, I
to do
mean,
that.
I'm just
But
forced
that's
to
what I've
watch them
heard.
because YouTube gives them to me. It's like, here's that
Oh,
5-second
boy.
unskippable ad of just this dumb scenario. Move the puzzle piece, click on the game, buy it. Like, I don't want to see it, man. I just want to watch my YouTube video and move on.
Well, we could go like 4 or 5 years ago. We could get like a supermodel
Oh,
to run an ad on the Super Bowl for a mobile game.
Oh,
Obviously, the best. That's obviously the best thing for us, this indie company.
blowing all the budget on just that one supermodel.
Yeah, so indie marketing is more like it's more guerrilla. It's more like outreach. It's like going to streamers, going to card game enthusiasts, putting up flyers in card shops. Maybe like I don't think we ever did that, but
Things of that nature. The more like you said, just guerrilla
yeah, like
tactics.
finding people who are interested. Because if you like do like a wide funnel kind of like whatever, there's a lot of people who are like, well, this game doesn't really look as good as Hearthstone does. Like, of course it doesn't. Hearthstone's a very pretty game, and like, you gotta find your market, your enthusiasts who are like, yeah, I really want this grid combo. My two favorite games are Magic the Gathering and Final Fantasy Tactics. Right, that's our market, and you just gotta find those people.
And we found a couple of them here. I mean, look at CnC1. We had, all those mobile players who are synced in at this point. So
Yeah,
there is definitely a audience out there.
good community.
I will go with that. Good community. Me knowing some of the people in. Yep, good community. No, I love our little group, our little guys community. I've said that word 3 times now. But I mean, I think right now we have gotten in a pretty good place here. A lot of cool things to see from this. Would you be opposed though, Vaughn, in showing perhaps a little bit of what's in store? I know you got that test deck here in the showcase. I can run something on my end for the viewers at home real quick if we want to show that. Give a little preview maybe of what's to come.
You're challenging me to a battle.
Oh, geez, are we stepping it up that far?
Well, I don't know what you mean. What do you mean?
Oh, I mean, I've got the Thunder King deck here pulled up. If you want me to battle you want to battle the AI, something to kind of give the show what we mean to the players. We've been talking about all these things. Would you like to maybe show them a bit of what's in store?
Here, yeah. Let's just run through. This is not planned at all, by the way. I have no idea what he wants me to do.
Yes, sir.
Let's do. I'm already in your lobby.
Yes.
You see, I got that Con Artist as my profile pick. It's actually an upgrade from C1. I really like 7 profile picks. But yeah, let's do the Thunder King deck. That's just the basic starter.
Yeah.
So we don't reveal too much. We'll do a little mirror.
That's why I wanted to give you the Thunder King matchup, because I know that was what you showed me the first time we launched this. So it's only fair. It's only fair. But yeah, I am ready to go. I'm gonna put my auto match on here. I've got the gameplay showing for the folks at home. They can see everything. It's a little smaller view than I normally do. But I mean, obviously this is gonna get a good sense of what's to come, what we can showcase to people here. All of my hand are 4 golds. That is not what I want to see. Okay, we're gonna swap those out. And I mean, during this, I mean, if you have anything that you want to chime in on here, a little banter back and forth as we kind of move to close this out here. I mean, we've been going for a little under an hour, and so if there is anything that you kind of wanted to, you know, share with, I guess, the rest of the community watching this, you know, up to you.
So I mean, I guess I'll commentate a little. So there's a flying unit. So this is kind of like other card games where you have units that are like maybe unblockable. Uh, you especially have a lot of those in, well, not in Hearthstone because they don't really have blocking, but in Runeterra and Magic the Gathering, you have like flying or unblockable, elusive, what have you. Cards that like are very small, but they're easy to avoid the enemy defenses. So that's what flying is in this version of the game. It's one of our classes that is carried over.
And I'll show you another class here. I'm going to run the skirmisher down because I have no blocks to the hawk.
Yeah, so the flying unit, my little hawk here, he cannot be attacked by Red's melee units. He can be attacked by other flying. He can be attacked by ranged units, and he can be attacked by Colossus units, which are like a small category. But of course, in exchange for being kind of untargetable, he's very weak, right? He only does 1 damage.
So I'm on a 20-turn timer, essentially. Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
20 turns, you're done. Yeah, I'm getting that guy. I got Berserker there.
Oh, come on,
so that's the new Relentless. We have some nice Dragon Ball Z effects around the guy to show that he became.
I do like how the auras have been used for some of these abilities here, like Relentless. There are, I think, a couple more that we're obviously not going to spoil all at once here. Am I forced to do this? I think I am. Here, have a Basher. Make the trade here, because I mean that's
good trade.
6-1 is scary. 6-1 is scary.
Just gonna run down with my
jeez
unit here, which draws a card. Nice. Yeah, the lumberjack from C1 maybe a little too good. You can show him the dwarven miner. He's 4 gold, 2/3, draws a card.
3 movement, all that fun
stuff.
Yeah.
Little less auto include.
I will have the bear in response though. This is some big beef.
God damn it.
I am throwing big beef.
What do I want to do here? Actually don't. Well, first I'm gonna claw you.
Yep,
yeah, get clawed. Actually don't have a great play. I'm gonna throw down my wizard. Hope you don't kill him.
Well,
Wizard has a cool new thing, so when he attacks the enemy castle, you draw a card. It's a simple unit, but I think it's a lot of fun. These guys don't always like the wizard. They say he's not good, but I think he's good.
Listen, no, well, the problem with this, I can talk to you more later about that, but he's been putting in some work over the last few hours. Let me tell you, I know well enough about him.
It can be hard to get a ranged unit to attack the castle when your opponent doesn't want you to, which is definitely the problem here with Mr. Wizard. But of course, his effect, if you do, is very powerful. You get to draw a card. That's very nice.
And speaking of powerful boys, I'm going to throw Brynjolf out there.
Yeah, okay. So, actually,
I guess while you're thinking about that, mention that Brynjolf does have the... Oh, hello.
I'm going to play my cavalry. I'm going to freeze your guy, which will unfortunately kill him. But...
Getting clawed again, yep.
It's okay. Then I did not attack Brynjolf because Brynjolf has Relentless, which would make him a 10-1 if I tried to kill him without closing him out.
Yes.
Instead I froze him so he can't move very much.
Alright, well, I'm thinking I finally have the response to the hawk here. And I guess let's make things even a little harder for you. Gonna try and regenerate. Actually, nah. Well, I do want to regenerate. I just don't know what I want to regenerate. You know what? Regenerating the bear. The bear's got a bigger butt, so I think that's gonna work a little bit better. And then I guess we'll just kind of pour it on here with the berserker. I am kind of throwing all my cards out in the field here. You do have a hand advantage over me.
Yes, I'm gonna clean up that Brynjolf with the spell. We don't want any 10-1s around.
Yep, seems fair.
Hog is going to become Super Hawk.
Ah, there's the
little
Super
plus
Hawk.
1/+1. I'm gonna put my wizard there just to force you to deal with him.
Okay, that's fine, man. I can totally deal with him. Totally. I think we're just gonna run the basher out to it. Clean that up there.
I probably put him a little too close.
And I guess let's create our own Super Hawk.
No.
Super Hawk.
F's.
And I guess we'll just move things around like this here. Get you a little worse for wear.
Yeah.
It's okay. You're only in this position because of the surprise element of this game in general.
All right, we gotta clean this guy up.
Yep. Yes, sir.
Then we gotta do.
Oh, the Wombo Bolt again.
We're gonna gamble it. It was a bad trade.
Was the
Fish for cards.
Oh yeah.
All right, finally got something I can do.
Winter Ward. Putting in some work. So I guess it might be also because I mean he is in my hand here. When I hover over, I'm kind of showing off the spawn squares right now of a normal unit, as opposed to the Colossus, which gets that extra space. Is there anything that we can share in regards to that, real quick?
What, the Colossus?
The forward
I mean,
spawn of the
small.
Colossus. So like how I could put it one space more than an average soldier or skirmisher.
Yeah, because they're slow.
Ah.
So you can put them a little more forward.
That's it. So we'll do that. I guess we'll clean up the range unit while we have an opportunity here, so it's harder for you to deal with our flyers. I guess we'll put a Berserker Part 2. We got all the bodies on the board here.
All right.
Uh-oh.
It's time to dispose of this rabble.
Yes, sir. There is Ragnar the Thunder King. I almost called him the Storm King. It's Thunder King. Chain Lightning, big body, can summon 2 Berserkers with that relentless activation. It's pretty good. So do good work here, cleaning up a couple of things here. I guess we can move him forward, right? That sounds like a good play. We'll do this. We'll do this. I think we'll just try to get the Master at Arms here. Siege can get him a little stronger here to use his Chain Lightning to kill off the Ragnar. Showing people the Master at Arms real quick. I guess Siege is something that we haven't shown off, I think, quite yet. Siege is a ability that will trigger within the enemy zone here, so like where the Yarm Giant was, I will say. Another nice little trigger of an ability here.
Yeah, that's kind of our answer to camping.
Just forcing the more powerful stuff to be out there in the open.
Well, specifically stuff that has like a global buff, right?
Right.
It's not all. That's not only how or always how we use Siege, but that is one like usage of it. Is
all right.
We have like something that has like a big global ability, and we're just like, Crush Hawk.
Well, Mountain Giant's looking pretty nice. Oh, come on. And there's a Hawk over there.
Very nice card. Mountain Giant's very nice. He costs 8 gold, draws you 2 cards when you play him.
I can hit the flyers. Hit the flyers.
He can hit flyers because he's tall. He can reach them with his meaty hands.
All right. How do I want to do this? I think we're gonna gamble a bit here. Commit to our own Ragnar the Storm King, in a way. Question is, how do I want to do it? So obviously, we've got the same deck here. Chain is a very real possibility.
We do have the same deck. It's one of the starter decks.
I guess I'll just do this. I'll kind of have to force you to maybe double back you to take care of the Berserker. I can only hope. I don't know if that's going to be true. But we are going to threaten lethal a bit here. He does have a lot of options, folks. I'm not safe. Oh, and speaking of not safe, there is a Brainyoff of his own. Alright, not too shabby. Oh, nice.
That's not what I expected to happen.
That does push me out of the way, though.
Oh, wait, Berserker. Get hawked.
Alright. This is a little awkward for me. I think I might have to do that. Gotta bolt away the 10-1.
No.
And just create another tree again.
F's in the chat.
You got some nice draw though throughout this game.
Get mined.
Oh lord.
Get lots of mana.
No.
Yeah. So the Arbor is cool. Show them what the Arbor does.
So, Arbor, of course, a 2/6, it's Colossi, but it's a siege mana ramp, which is the way that you can bring him up to the front here, provide a big body to threaten the board, but also gain a little bit of backup mana for you to use later. Big important for some maybe plays like the Thunder King later on.
So he gets rewarded for an aggressive position, which of course leaves him vulnerable.
That is
Since
true.
he's on my opponent's side of the field, but that's how it goes.
I don't really know if I could deal with him right now. So you.
Yeah, I think Red might be a little gassed out here, guys.
Whoa, hey, listen.
Yeah, I don't
Listen,
know.
it's not my fault that I didn't see my Dwarven Miners throughout this game, man. Oh, and if I lose here, my comment section is going to light me up. That's alright, though.
Right, let's do that first.
It's not like they don't do that anyway.
I'm going to do this. Now you might notice in the HUD that I have 10
Oh,
mana.
no.
This guy has a spammable
No,
ability.
don't do this to me.
So it's not very efficient, right? It's not a very efficient use of mana, but if I just have a ton, I can just pump him up because that's how he do.
That's what he do. We do. Punished for not dealing with the armed giant.
So Colossus also, see, they're very slow boys, right? They take a while, and you can't speed them up. There's no movement increasers anymore because of these kind of mechanics. Because Colossus, they're big slow boys, but they deal double damage to buildings. So if my 8/9 reaches his face, the game is over. Of course, Red is threatening lethal now too, so I have to deal with that.
Gotta deal with it, baby. I don't think the bear's fast enough.
Alright, we're gonna start out like this.
Punish.
So we're gonna make him bigger.
Alright.
No, I don't have. I need one more gold. Give him Storm Strike. Oh shit! I attack your guy.
Yeah, I put him in the most powerful
And-
chain position possible. I don't
And
really
my
know if it,
castle will take chain lightning.
I don't know if it really matters though.
Do you have a lightning bolt?
I did. Oh shit. Well,
See, if he has lightning bolt, he wins the game.
yes, and you know what? We almost had it, but this is the problem with this particular card. We haven't been able to. Well, we did show off a sniper, but because my deck was a little wonkier at one point, we took something out a while ago. I put in a replacement, and that replacement is coming back to haunt me at this very moment. Damn. Well,
I'm sorry.
that's all right. Listen, it was a back and forth. I kind of gassed myself out, so it's only fair that Big Yarm is going to be the punish here.
Oh,
And
you know
actually-
what? I had 6 mana. I could have made him +3/+3 again.
Well, listen, I think it's also a little bit better to show off how Colossus dealing double damage to structures was. I don't think we talked about that at all. So you saw it was 16 points of damage dealt. Colossi, very slow, but very impactful.
Yeah.
You know
And
what?
again, there's no way to cheese it. You can't. If you want to get a Colossi to someone's castle, you have to take the 3 turns to move them 1 square at a time and go stomp, stomp.
Yeah, and all good stuff here. So, Vaughn, I think after that little bit of a loss here that no one is going to let me live down, I think that's going to be where I close it off for today. Is there anything that you kind of wanted to share with the people out there as sort of a parting to them, if you will, whether it's you know, buy the game or anything along those lines?
Now, man, like we're just really excited about the relaunch. Like, I think it's a big step forward from both games, and you know, we got a lot of work left to do, but it's gonna be awesome.
Right, and that is certainly something to look forward to, folks. If you haven't already done so, be sure to wishlist it on Steam. If you haven't done so already, you know, like Vaughn said, don't buy it yet. It's not ready. But if you want to wishlist,
Yeah, we also don't have a release date yet, but we're hoping a couple months from now.
All right.
Maybe.
I mean, I don't want to press
we'll
you
have
for
the relaunch on Steam.
I don't want to press you for like a certain date here. So like maybe.
Yeah, but we probably just didn't leave that on hand and like, hey, let's talk about all this relaunch. When does it come out?
Soon.
Nobody knows. 2025.
Oh Lord! After we just did all that, it's gonna be nope. 2025. Yeah. All right.
No, we are working very hard. We have no official date, but we're hoping in the next few months we will have something ready to show to the public.
It shouldn't be too far off, folks.
I mean,
and
have the public play.
Right. And hopefully you guys stay tuned for that. We'll maybe try to do some more stuff here on the channel as well, if Vaughn allows it, to kind of maybe showcase more as we get closer to the date. We want to get this kind of rolling though to showcase what is in store. But yeah, folks, that's gonna do it for now. Be sure to let me know what you think of the revamp here in the comment section below. Please don't harass me for my game loss. I beg of you, please. Be sure to like the video, share, comment, subscribe. We are, of course, pushing to that 1K milestone, and that's gonna be it for me for now, folks. So until next time, stay gaming.